Unseen Woodstock, 1969 photos they couldn't show on TV. Imagine a moment in history where 500,000 people gathered together for 3 long, extended days. They didn't come for war, nor for arguments, but to immerse themselves in peace, love, and music. This was the promise Woodstock delivered, a festival that was not just a mere music event, but a defining moment, deeply imprinted on an entire decade, the tumultuous and ever-changing 1960s. The 60s, an era of lofty ideals, of desires for freedom and self-expression, and Woodstock became the ultimate symbol of that spirit. But do you really know about Woodstock? Or do you only know what has been retold through books and films? Behind the iconic performances, the legendary faces on stage, and the passionate crowds that made history, there are untold stories and hidden moments deep in the shadows of time. These Woodstock photos, they were kept hidden for a specific reason, a reason you might not expect. And trust me, what they reveal about this iconic festival might truly shock you. Exactly 56 years ago, on August 15th, 1969, an unprecedented event took place. Over 400,000 people converged on a peaceful farm in Bethel, New York. And to capture this historic moment, a talented photographer was there, witnessing and seizing every vibration of this cultural phenomenon. That was Baron Wolman. He captured unseen moments, hidden angles few knew about, but these photos were not immediately released. It wasn't until June 2014, almost half a century later, that some of his hidden photos were finally revealed in a special exhibition in London. Will these photos completely change the way we view Woodstock forever? Do we truly understand the essence of this legendary festival, or just a beautified version over time? Let's delve into discovering the raw truth behind this legend right now. The dream is born. Let's rewind to the summer of 1969. A summer unlike any other in history. It was a time when the air was filled with change, from politics and society to culture. And against that backdrop, millions of young people with free and yearning souls embarked on a journey. They didn't just wear the vibrant tie-dye clothes and bell-bottoms typical of the era, with their long hair flowing freely in the wind, but they also carried a common spirit, the spirit of change, of peace, and of music. And in that special summer, 500,000 people from every corner of the country flocked to a seemingly ordinary farm in upstate New York. They had no idea they were on their way to an event that would forever change their lives and go down in history as a symbol of a generation. But this grand dream, Woodstock, didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was nurtured and realized by a group of ambitious and talented young people. This was not the product of a large corporation or a long-established organization, but the idea of 4 young men. These 4 men, all in the prime of their 20s, saw a future that many others couldn't imagine. They were John Roberts, Joel Roseman, Artie Kornfeld, and Michael Lang. Each of them brought a crucial piece to build the massive puzzle called Woodstock. They were a generation of innovators who witnessed the continuous evolution of music. Rock and roll was booming, folk music was making a comeback, and new genres were beginning to take shape. Along with that was the explosion of new technologies, from sound systems to media, all setting the stage for organizing an unprecedented large-scale event. More importantly, they noticed the counterculture movement growing strong, a movement where young people were seeking new ways to express themselves, different values from their parents' generation, and a space where they could truly be themselves. They knew that something truly big was about to explode, and they wanted to be the ones to ignite that explosion. To turn this vision into reality, they collaborated. And this collaboration had a surprisingly solid foundation for young people like them. Michael Lang was not an unfamiliar name in the festival organizing scene. Before Woodstock, he had successfully organized a large-scale music festival in Miami, demonstrating his ability and experience in managing live music events. Artie Kornfeld, on the other hand, had an equally impressive resume in the music industry. He was the youngest vice president at Capitol Records, one of the world's leading record labels, which showed his vision for music and ability to connect with artists. The other 2, John Roberts and Joel Roseman, were talented entrepreneurs from New York City. They brought sharp business acumen, financial management skills, and strategic vision. With the perfect combination of event organizing experience, music industry knowledge, and business talent, these four young men together founded a company called Woodstock Ventures. Their goal was by no means small: to create the largest, grandest music festival in the world. However, the path to the dream is never easy. The first and biggest challenge Woodstock Ventures faced was finding a suitable location. The initial plan was to host the festival in Wallkill, New York. They had imagined an ideal setting where hundreds of thousands of people could gather. But that dream quickly shattered. Local residents in Wallkill, especially older residents, were extremely concerned. They didn't want thousands of hippies flooding their small town. Fears about security issues, public order, and especially strong opposition to the Vietnam War that the counterculture movement represented led to fierce protests from the local community. The pressure from the community and local authorities was too great, causing the plan in Wallkill to fail. With only a month left before the scheduled festival date, Woodstock Ventures found itself in an extremely difficult situation. An entire grand dream was on the verge of collapse. It was in that seemingly hopeless moment that a surprising savior appeared. That was Max Yasgur, a kind and generous dairy farmer. He not only had a big heart, but also owned an even bigger field. His farm in Bethel, New York, a peaceful area with rolling hills and vast space, turned out to be the perfect setting for this magical event. Max Yasgur's agreement not only saved the festival, but also became an inseparable part of the Woodstock legend. He didn't just lease his land, but also welcomed hundreds of thousands of young people with an open and trusting attitude. This was a testament to the spirit of the era, where generosity and kindness could overcome all barriers and prejudices. And so, the Woodstock dream, after many challenges, finally found its home, ready for a historic event about to unfold. What did you imagine Woodstock would be like before knowing about the actual events that took place? Share with us in the comments. Chaos and untold challenges. As hundreds of thousands of people began to flock to Max Yasgur's farm in Bethel, New York, the excitement and anticipation quickly gave way to a harsh reality. Logistical nightmares began to emerge everywhere. The organizers, despite their best efforts, clearly underestimated the scale and speed of the incoming crowd. Ticket booths were still unfinished, not completed in time. The main entrances to the festival were not properly controlled, and most importantly, the fences erected could not maintain order against a sea of people pouring in. The harsh truth was, people arrived before everything was ready. They didn't wait, they simply came. With gates overrun and no way to control ticket collection, the organizers faced an extremely difficult decision, one that would shape Woodstock's history and also their financial fate. They were forced to turn Woodstock into a free concert. This decision, while bringing endless joy to hundreds of thousands of attendees, also meant that they had lost a fortune. Estimated millions of dollars in ticket revenue were not collected, putting Woodstock Ventures on the brink of bankruptcy. However, some of the losses were later offset by the resounding success of the festival's documentary, which won an Oscar and became a cultural icon. Not only were there ticket issues, but the roads leading to the festival also became a horrifying challenge. The entire area around Bethel, New York experienced a terrible traffic jam. Thousands of cars were stuck on highways and rural roads, forming endless lines. This situation was so severe that many attendees had to abandon their cars in the middle of the road and walk for miles to reach the festival site. Some even took advantage of the traffic jam to organize mini Woodstocks right there, turning congested roads into spontaneous spaces of music and friendship, demonstrating the adaptability and optimism of this generation. Upon reaching the festival, attendees faced harsh living conditions that few had anticipated. Sanitation was one of the biggest challenges. Organizers prepared only 600 restrooms for over 400,000 people. That meant one restroom had to serve about 650 people, a terrible ratio. You can imagine the inconvenience and scarcity. Long lines of people waited, and sanitary conditions quickly deteriorated severely, becoming one of the festival's downsides. Next was the issue of food and water, a severe shortage. Demand was too high while supply was limited. There are stories told of a woman who brought milk to share with the crowd, an act demonstrating a strong community spirit. However, the downside of the scarcity was inflated prices. The price increase for hamburgers caused small riots, showing that tension and fatigue had begun to appear within the massive crowd. And then, harsh weather also arrived. Continuous heavy rain turned the entire festival area into a giant mud pit. Mud was ankle deep, making movement difficult, and everyone was soaking wet and cold. However, amazingly, even in those terrible conditions, the spirit of the festival did not wane. Everyone still tried to adapt and enjoy. However, it cannot be denied that Woodstock also had darker aspects of the event that are rarely mentioned in the legendary stories. One of the most common images of Woodstock is nudity, which many viewed as an expression of freedom, a breaking of social norms, and a way to connect with nature and oneself. However, the media at the time exaggerated the extent of nudity, as well as the widespread use of drugs. Psychedelic drugs, especially LSD, were openly and commonly used, contributing to a trippy atmosphere at the festival, but also leading to many unwanted problems. More sadly, the festival also witnessed heartbreaking losses. 2 people died during Woodstock, one from a drug overdose and another from a tractor accident. Additionally, there were reports of 8 women having miscarriages, which indicated the inadequate living conditions and stress many people had to endure. The impact of Woodstock was not limited to the attendees. The local community, and especially farmer Max Yasgur, faced serious consequences. Mr. Yasgur, who opened his heart to allow the festival on his land, had to face a series of lawsuits from his neighbors. Furthermore, his dairy cows, the family's main source of income, were severely traumatized by the noise, crowd, and chaos, to the point that they stopped producing milk for a whole month. This caused significant damage to him. In the end, Max Yasgur, though praised for his kindness, also refused to host any more festivals on his land, showing the burden he had to bear. And we cannot forget the environmental disaster the festival left behind. Woodstock, despite its message of peace, created a significant environmental mess. Piles of garbage, from leftover food, bottles, old clothes to personal belongings, lingered on the field for months after the festival ended, requiring a huge effort to clean up and restore. To better understand the darker side of large-scale festivals, we can quickly compare with Woodstock '99. This festival, held years after the original, became a true disaster, plagued by violence and a lot of negativity. Rolling Stone magazine even called it a nightmare. This shows that controlling and maintaining a peaceful spirit in a large-scale event is an immense challenge, and Woodstock 1969, despite many problems, was truly a miracle in terms of maintaining internal order and peace. What do you think was the biggest difficulty attendees of Woodstock 1969 faced? Share your answer in the comments below. The spirit of Woodstock, light amidst chaos. After exploring the challenges and darker sides of Woodstock, what truly made this festival legendary was an astonishing aspect: its incredible peace. Despite the event's colossal scale, 500,000 people gathered on a muddy field, lacking everything, and the extremely harsh living conditions, Woodstock is still remembered as a remarkably peaceful event. The miracle is that no major violence whatsoever was reported throughout the 3 days of the festival. This is almost unbelievable when thinking about such a massive crowd, especially in a society stressed by war and social movements. What created that peace? It was the extraordinary community spirit and sharing. In the context of food and water shortages and cramped spaces, festival goers spontaneously shared food, water, and shelter. They didn't just look out for themselves, but also cared for each other, creating an incredible display of compassion and solidarity. People were seen helping strangers set up tents, sharing every piece of bread, every drop of water, every raincoat. This spirit transformed a chaotic event into a temporary community where everyone overcame difficulties together. One of the groups that significantly contributed to maintaining this positive spirit was Hog Farm. This was a hippie commune known for its free lifestyle and community helping spirit. They played an extremely important role in keeping the spirit of Woodstock high. The Hog Farm group created a playground for children right within the festival, providing a safe and fun space for kids who came with their parents. They also operated a free kitchen, providing food for the hungry without charge. Importantly, they also set up a special area for people suffering from bad drug trips, where those with drug-related issues could receive support and care in a safe environment, instead of being abandoned or endangered. The presence of Hog Farm was clear evidence of self-governance and humanity within the Woodstock community. That spirit even deeply impressed the local police force. The Monticello police chief, who faced an unprecedented situation, publicly praised the hippies attending the festival. He called them the bravest, kindest, and best-behaved young people he had ever seen. This was truly surprising, especially given the negative stereotypes about hippies at the time. There was even a memorable scene. Hippies helped push their police car out of traffic congestion, an act demonstrating cooperation and goodwill that transcended social prejudices. Woodstock was also a place where new ideas spread. Swami Satchidananda, an Indian yoga guru, performed the opening ceremony of the festival. With his presence, he introduced yoga and meditation to a generation of young Westerners eager for new ways of thinking and living. In a tumultuous era, when traditional values were being challenged, these spiritual practices offered a new path to find inner peace and connect with oneself, contributing to the development of the spiritual movement in the West. Above all, Woodstock was a symbol of the power of music and the anti-war spirit. The festival took place against the backdrop of the Vietnam War raging fiercely, a war that deeply divided American society and the world. Hundreds of thousands of young people gathered at Woodstock, not just to listen to music, but also to express their stance. The festival was a space for them to come together, connect through music, and express their opposition to violence and war. Music at Woodstock was not just entertainment, it became a powerful tool for political and social change. Artists used their stage to send messages of peace, anti-war sentiment, and calls for a better world. Iconic songs like Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones or Jimi Hendrix's highly symbolic performance of Star-Spangled Banner all echoed the strong messages of a generation yearning for peace. The spirit of Woodstock was not just the sum of music and parties. It was a reflection of a collective consciousness, where hundreds of thousands of individuals together created a shared experience of freedom, acceptance, and hope. It was a place where prejudices were cast aside, where people could find a common voice in the music and in the desire for a nonviolent world. It was this combination of logistical chaos and spiritual order that made Woodstock unique and unforgettable. For you, what moment at Woodstock 1969 made you feel most moved and connected? Let's share together. Iconic images and the story behind. Now we'll delve into the heart of the story. The mysterious photos and the stories behind them, captured through the lens of Baron Wolman. This is the most important part to understand the raw truth behind the legend. Each photo is not just a captured moment, it's a story, an emotion, a piece of history. Fences and freedom. Look at this photo, a simple fence, overwhelmed by the crowd, falling down. Initially, the organizers expected only about 50,000 people to attend the festival, and this fence was erected just to estimate that number, as well as to control ticket sales. However, reality proved that they underestimated the public's interest and craving for this event. Hundreds of thousands of people poured in, and the fence, instead of being a barrier, became a symbol of the attendees' overwhelming desire, a symbol of the craving for freedom, transcending all limits. The image of the fence being overrun not only showed logistical chaos, but also led to the historic decision, turning Woodstock into a free concert. This was the moment the festival truly became a collective experience, a gift to a generation, far beyond its initial business purpose. Simple footwear and a carefree spirit. When looking at photos from Woodstock, you'll notice a small but significant detail. Attendees' footwear was often very simple or even barefoot. There were no prominent brand logos, no expensive sneakers or fashionable boots like we see today. This simplicity not only reflected the economic conditions of many young people at the time, but also served as a powerful symbol of the carefree, free spirit of that era. It showed their focus on the actual experience of the festival, on the music, on human connection, rather than on social status or self-expression through material possessions. In the mud, flip-flops or bare feet became part of the experience, demonstrating a willingness to accept all conditions to be part of the historic moment. Dancing without smiles. This is another perspective, an aspect that might surprise many. When looking at photos of the crowd dancing, full of energy, you'll notice something strange. Very few people are actually smiling. Although the music was vibrant and the energy infectious, many faces showed seriousness, sometimes concentration, but could also suggest discomfort or fatigue due to the harsh conditions. Mud, lack of amenities, and the crowding within the massive crowd created significant physical challenges. Losing one's footing in a sea of people, trying to balance in the mud, these were all difficulties they faced. This photo is a reminder that Woodstock wasn't just about continuous fun moments, but also a physically challenging experience. Milking cows amidst the chaos. One of Baron Wolman's most unique photos is the incredibly contrasting scene. A farmer milking cows right amidst the festival chaos. This photo is a powerful symbol of the collision between traditional, peaceful farm life and an unprecedented cultural event. Max Yasgur's cows, accustomed to the peace of the farm, were stressed to the point of stopping milk production for a whole month afterward. This image is not only humorous in its contrast, but also a reminder of Woodstock's far-reaching impact on even the most ordinary aspects of surrounding life, and the burdens Max Yasgur had to bear for this festival to happen. Military helicopters, a symbol of unity. Against the backdrop of the raging Vietnam War with high tensions between the counterculture and the military, the image of military medical helicopters arriving to help at Woodstock was a surprising and meaningful gesture of cooperation. These helicopters did not come to control or suppress, but to transport essential medical supplies and evacuate the sick or injured from the area. The photo of helicopters flying overhead instead of being a symbol of conflict became a symbol of unity and compassion, showing that even in the most tense times, people can find common ground and help each other. Santana, Garcia, and a psychedelic performance. The Woodstock stage witnessed countless peak performances, and Santana's story is one of the most unforgettable legends. Carlos Santana, not truly famous before Woodstock, had an explosive performance, especially with the song Soul Sacrifice. But the story becomes even more fascinating when told from Santana's own words. He performed while heavily influenced by drugs. Santana described his guitar feeling like a living steel snake, and when he looked down at the crowd, he saw them as 300,000 jaws and 300,000 eyes. This was not just a musical experience, but also a surreal sensory experience, shaping Santana's career and becoming one of Woodstock's most iconic performances. Jimi Hendrix, an iconic performance. You can't mention Woodstock without talking about Jimi Hendrix. Hendrix's performance of The Star-Spangled Banner, the U.S. national anthem, was not just a cover. It was a powerful political and artistic statement. This performance took place on the last morning of the festival, when most of the crowd had left with only a few remaining. However, it became an inseparable part of the spirit of the 60s, a symbol of resistance, creativity, and the transformative power of music. Jimi Hendrix, with his guitar, didn't just play music. He spoke the voice of a generation, turning notes into a powerful and eternal message. Janis Joplin, taken by surprise. Finally, the story of Janis Joplin, the queen of blues rock. Many artists struggled with Woodstock's immense scale, and Janis was no exception. She only learned about the festival a few days before, and when she arrived, she was completely overwhelmed by the true scale of the event. Her image on stage, with a face both focused and seemingly trying to comprehend and adapt to a sea of people in front of her, showed the overwhelming feeling even the biggest stars experienced. However, despite the surprise, Janis still delivered an energetic and emotional performance, affirming her status as one of the greatest voices of the era. These photos, taken by Baron Wolman, are not just still images. They are windows into a complex historical moment, encompassing both chaos and peace, frustration and hope. They give us a more authentic, unvarnished look at Woodstock 1969. Immortal legacy. Woodstock 1969 was not just a concert, it was a cultural phenomenon. It transcended the boundaries of a mere music event to become a living symbol of an era, a moment that shaped an entire generation. For hundreds of thousands of people who were present on Max Yozger's field, it wasn't just 3 days of music. It was a life-defining moment for them, a shared experience that shaped their values and beliefs. Woodstock proved that music has power far beyond entertainment. It can be the glue that connects people, the common voice of those with shared ideals. The spirit of unity, compassion, and sharing permeated the minds of the attendees, leaving a deep imprint that they carried throughout their lives. This was where they truly felt they belonged to a larger community, a movement they believed in. For many artists, Woodstock was an unparalleled career launchpad. Names like Santana, Joe Cocker, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and countless other artists became global superstars after performing on that iconic stage. The power of media, especially the Oscar-winning documentary, brought their performances to millions worldwide, making them indispensable faces in music history. Jimi Hendrix, with his iconic national anthem performance, solidified his position as a legend. Janis Joplin affirmed her powerful voice. The performances at Woodstock went down in history as peak moments of talent and creativity. However, it's interesting that many big bands' names at the peak of their careers at the time declined invitations to participate in Woodstock. They had no idea they were missing a moment that would define music and cultural history. Typical examples include the Byrds, invited to perform but declined because they didn't believe in the festival's scale. The Doors, also declined due to internal issues and security concerns. The Beatles. Despite being one of the biggest bands in the world, they also didn't participate. Many reasons were given, including John Lennon being in Canada and not wanting to leave, as well as the band's internal issues at the time. The refusal of these bands created opportunities for many lesser-known artists to shine, and the story of those who missed out on history further increased Woodstock's mystique and uniqueness. The festival couldn't have happened without the generosity of Max Yozger. This dairy farmer, with his open heart, defied criticism and lawsuits from neighbors to allow hundreds of thousands of young people to gather on his land. His words on stage at the end of the festival became a symbol of kindness and understanding. "You have shown the world something. 500,000 young people gathered here for 3 days of fun, only music." Those words were not just a confirmation of what happened, but also a praise for the spirit of peace and love that the attendees demonstrated despite all difficulties. Today, the spirit of Woodstock lives on. It's not just a memory of the past, it continues to inspire artists, musicians, and dreamers around the world. Woodstock's music, philosophy, and rebellious spirit still resonate in social movements, in art, and in the hearts of young people today. It reminds us of the power of unity and the ability to create change through peace. And that historic site, Max Yozger's farm, is now the Bethel Wood Center for the Arts. It's not just a museum, but also a modern performing arts center that continues to preserve the festival's spirit and host cultural and musical events. It is a tangible reminder of a unique moment in history, where a farm field became the stage for a cultural revolution. Woodstock 1969 was truly a one-of-a-kind event in human history. It wasn't just a music festival, but an incredible convergence of music, an emerging culture, and profound social change. It captured the spirit of an entire generation, leaving an eternal legacy. So, after exploring the hidden photos and untold stories, what moment from Woodstock impressed you the most? And how do you think that moment shaped the legacy of this legendary festival in your mind? Let us know your thoughts. Share your feelings in the comments section below. If you've loved this meaningful journey back in time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss upcoming videos exploring history and culture. And please share this video with your friends so we can spread Woodstock's immortal message. The message of peace, love, and music. See you in the next video. Until then, stay tuned and keep your spirits high.